morning.
It is so wonderful to be with all of you. I shouldn't say it here, you can't see me. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Huang, and I am affiliated with the PCUSA in that I actually was an elder, I guess once ordained, always ordained, so elder of the PCUSA, and also have served in ministry really since I was a child. I grew up in youth group, and it just became my heart, my burden to be part of the church. Found the PCUSA when I was older, and now I am a candidate for ministry under care in the Boston Presbytery. So I'm still learning about the Pacific Presbytery here. So it's a little bit about just me. But you're not here to learn about me. You're here to learn about what I have to present today. So would you please join me in prayer? Good and gracious, ever-loving Creator God, the God who has created us and created this earth and created this world. We ask for your blessing during this time when we might feel a little unsafe, a little bit fearful, a little bit anxious about our city, about our neighborhoods, about our state, about our country. Wherever and however we've come, we know, oh God, that you hold us, that you know us, that you love us, and that you care for us. That we have never been alone, and nor will we ever be alone. As we move forward into this world together, as a community of God's beloved children, give us guidance and wisdom to know how to care and love this world. We ask for your wisdom and for your spirit here today, that we might find new inspiration, some education, some new friendships and partnerships. We pray all of these things in the precious name of Jesus Christ. My organization is called Give Urban Farms, and my hope is actually that I'm not going to do that much talking here, so I'm going to keep a close eye on our time together. And the reason why is because I have been in a lot of workshops before, and I, don't like to always just sit and hear someone talk the whole time, because I know that the presenter is not the only one who has the wisdom in the room. I certainly don't know everything, and I think that collectively when we work together, we'll find more wisdom. So that's my goal here. And so I'm going to start for the first half about sharing about our specific nonprofit. Actually, I should have these brochures just so you have something to take home and look at and ponder about, be reminded maybe of some of the things I'm sharing. And then I'll have a time for questions if you have specifically about the technology I'm talking about, or technologies, research we're doing, what our goals are as an organization. But then the second half of our time together, I'm actually going to turn it to all of you. We're going to do some group work. Besides being the interim director for this particular organization, I actually also work as a consultant with the Lattice Institute, which provides consultancy with churches to talk about redevelopment work, community development work. And I also have done a lot of community organizing, and so I want to take some of those tools from my other positions, my other work that I do, and share them with you as an opportunity for all of you to reimagine how you can be a social justice active church, as we all have in the mission, and think about how you can serve our collective community together, the community that we all are a part of, and working towards to making it healthier and better and for everybody. So anyway, so that's my little introduction. But now about who we are. Let's see here. So this is our vision, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information about our history, just so you know who we are. Actually, y'all, I know having given presentations before, you're going to keep staring at that, so I'm going to change it back so you listen to me for just a minute here. So our story is that Give Urban Farms was started by Les Hamasaki. He's sort of what we call the visionary of our group. He is in his 70s. He's been an urban planner in Los Angeles for his whole adult life, and is retiring and decided, I want to, he's been primarily in he's been in sustainable agricultural work. That's been sort of been his focus during his time as an urban planner for the city of Los Angeles. And he thought, in my retirement, I really want to leave a legacy. I believe in the work that I do, and I want to make sure that as I move toward, into the end of my life and the end of my career, that I want to leave something behind, a legacy to really transform LA with the values I believe in. And so he had this idea to start something that we now call Give Urban Farms. His original name was the Green Institute for Village Empowerment. That's where we get Give. And so again, the Green Institute for Village Empowerment. And the idea really behind it was to empower people, empower communities to green our spaces. So he had learned about this technology that you see. These are actual columns or towers, and you can see all the vegetables growing out of it. And then he thought, this is a really neat technology. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it in a moment here, but he thought this was so cool. He wanted to bring more awareness of it to Los Angeles, and so that's where we got started. And so he brought this idea to his church, and his church is the Union Church of Los Angeles. They're located in Little Tokyo and Skid Row, sort of that intersection there, on 3rd Avenue, East 3rd Avenue. So he brought the idea to his pastor, Tim Lee, and said, we got to start this. And Tim's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That sounds crazy. And so he kept talking about it for like 3 years. He's such an evangelist. And finally Tim said, all right, I'll give it a chance. And his idea, Les's idea really originally, was that because of our very large homeless population in Skid Row that they encountered regularly every single time he goes to the church, he wanted to provide homeless folks with an opportunity to, with some more job opportunities and with perhaps with some healthy produce and food. Because as you know, whenever you get food from in homeless shelters, it's usually that's usually donated, or if they can buy it from the food bank, it's definitely not organic. It's usually stuff that's really rotting, and they're just doing their best with what they have. Admittedly, like me, and perhaps like many of you, whenever we donate our canned foods, I'm usually thinking, I never use this, I don't really like this, and I'm giving not really the best, right? And I'm not thinking organically. Even when I donate, I'm thinking, well, I want to get the biggest quantity of vegetables and fruit to donate to food banks. And so I don't tend to think like, let's go organic, because I want to make sure the people who receive this are going to eat healthy. And so as healthy as I might choose for my own children. And so, anyway, his idea was really to try and bring healthier organic produce to the city. And so that's what his idea was, and anyway, that's our start. So now, what have we become? Our vision now is, our mission is to facilitate training, networking, and community development around urban farming in order to increase access to healthy, local, affordable food in Los Angeles. And we aim to do this by creating neighborhood-based farms, growing truly local fruits and vegetables, building markets for local sustainable produce, and making available training and resources for low-income communities to grow their own food. We have sort of 3 things that we primarily start. Oh, here's a picture of Union Church. I'm going to put that there. You can see where it's located, or you can see what it looks like. This area right here. Sorry.
This is part of our Presbyterian church. Right?
Oh, yes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is. Thank you for finding. So this area right here, you can see is a little patio space. It's probably about a third the size of this room. And we currently have 10 towers, and it only takes like probably a fifth of the space to give you a sense of how big those towers are. We took this picture, I think I got this one off the internet. I should probably retake a new picture with all of the towers there. But this is where we actually put the towers, because it gets a lot of sunlight here. And the church has talked about that if successful, they might expand and maybe have some other roof. They have another side yard over here, which is less so, but they might be thinking of putting it on there. So just to give you a sense sense of, how you can imagine these towers. So there are 3 areas that we focus on for our particular nonprofit. And the first is really, we're all about connecting individuals, connecting already existing organizations, connecting religious communities, churches, synagogues. We actually recently have partnered with ITIA, which is a Jewish organization that's promoting urban farming, primarily soiled urban farming in the city of Los Angeles in synagogues and temples. And schools as well. So that's what we're trying to do, is really forging these interesting partnerships. So you can see here. So we connect local nonprofits, community organizations, schools, congregations, and businesses to forge innovative partnerships to start urban farms, which mutually benefits local businesses, families, and neighborhoods. The other thing that we do is we have, of course, our pilot project at Union Church. And it's a community endeavor, and we're trying to learn, I'll have to do it again. We learn side by side, learning both how to care for God's creation and how to care for each other. And what we're really trying to do is connect churches to their neighborhoods. So the way that Union Church has decided to do this is, for example, their newest project is they currently have a Parkinson's support group that meets at the church monthly. And it's primarily to serve, this church actually is historically the oldest Japanese church, I think actually in all of Orange County. Sorry, not Orange County, because we're not in Orange County, in all of Southern California, thank you. Orange County, my mind for some reason. And so they serve a primarily Japanese congregation. They do have a multi-ethnic congregation as well. They have 3 congregations, a Japanese-speaking Japanese congregation, an English-speaking Japanese congregation, and then a multi-ethnic congregation. But their two Japanese congregations are primarily seniors, and they have people who have suffered from Parkinson's. And so they decided to they started a support group like 30 years ago, and it's grown. This group is about 60 people or so, and it's not specifically religious. And so people from really all around the neighborhood come monthly to this time and gathering. And we've started this garden also at the church. And so what we decided to do is create an opportunity for the seniors who are part of this Parkinson's support group go and bring home some of these vegetables that we grow. We're also going to provide training for our seniors and how to actually participate in growing and harvesting. And then they'll have sort of monthly presentations about nutrition and health and wellness, specifically in regards to their health and well-being as someone who has Parkinson's. And then they have a shared community meal together using the produce from the garden. So it's kind of, you can see that there was already a program at the church there, and then there's interest in this garden, and we're trying to connect it and trying to bring the pieces together. So right now we call it our pilot project because we're a young nonprofit. We started only in October of last year, so we're a year old. And so we are still in the research phase, and so we're kind of trying out new technologies besides the towers that you see. But I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. The last thing we do is we also work with other nonprofits, community organizations, congregations, and grant research and writing so that they can actually access our technology. So now you're probably curious about our technology. Like, have you ever seen things grow out of a vertical, kind of tower or pipe? Oh, that's not a good picture. I'm going to show you that. There you go. You can see our towers here. These pictures. That's Les, actually, the visionary. So, and then that's John, who's a volunteer who helps with our garden. This is very early on when we first started, and we got our towers really exciting. So the thing that we do is we are what's really interesting about these towers is that I'll show you the pictures. Is that these are they're aeroponic, and what that means is at the base here, you're putting in water and you're putting in nutrients, and it uses a pump, and that you use like for food, for like fish tanks. You kind of push the water up to the top, of the tower, and then it trickles down along the side. And what it does is it directly hits the roots of the plant, and then the plant grows, and then that's how the plant grows. We have found that it grows about 60% faster than most soil gardens in terms of how fast things grow. We were told actually originally by the company that we are partnered with that they believe you use 90% less water than you would in soil gardening. We've done our own research in the last couple of months, and we have not really found that to be the case. So we're still figuring out the water saving opportunities here. And the reason being is because on a hot day, because the water is trickling constantly along the side of these towers, you get a lot more evaporation. Exactly. And so that's something we're testing out.
How tall are the towers?
The towers can be whatever size that you want them to be. So you can have a short half-size tower, which we use for science classes and for groups like that. And then we have the tallest ones, which is at 11 feet. There is a new model that just came out. Again, a lot of information for me, so I'm sharing with you stuff that I haven't yet shared with new groups yet, which is that they have a new, the company that we had worked with just sold their company off. So this new company, which is much more focused on really helping communities access these towers, not just businesses, came up with a new technology where they kind of stripped down the original towers and they make them a little shorter. And so now you can get, I think they're about 8 or 9 feet tall, and they're just cheaper. So I'm just excited about that part because what that means is it's more accessible for more people. So that's what we're really excited about. But it does work. It does work on a timer, and so for the current, at least the towers we have here, you can just set it up where it kind of it sort of sprays the water every. It goes on. It sprays for about 2 minutes, at a time, and then it takes a break for 2 minutes, and then sprays it for 2 minutes, and that's kind of how it works. They are best for leafy greens. They're great for kale and spinach and lettuce and arugula and flowers, and we've grown tomatoes on them, and they're quite successful. Basil is fantastic. They just grow like a weed. I mean, it's and they're really beautiful, as you saw that first picture earlier on. What's great about these towers is that when you get things growing, I mean, they're really quite pretty looking. And so, and of course, as you can imagine, in LA, where we don't have space and we don't have water, these towers are fantastic in that you could put them, I mean, the base is probably about maybe about 3 feet, 2 feet, probably 2 to 3 feet wide, and it's a big circle, a cylinder, and then you have a smaller cylinder in the middle, and so they really don't take up that much space. You put them on concrete, you put them on contaminated soil, right? That's the thing we have in LA. Even if you have soil, the soil is oftentimes contaminated and you cannot grow food in it. And so this is an opportunity to be able to still utilize the space and grow in a way by which works for an LA, landscape. And so that's really exciting. So yeah, we really believe in this kind of model and thinking about how to bring urban ag technology into not just businesses, not just for regular farmers, but really for all of us, right? And then my hope one day, right, is that I could just walk down the street of Los Angeles instead of just seeing concrete, but where we are, I always call ourselves we're a city that's like a concrete jungle, It's like all around you just see concrete, it's just gray all the time. It'd be so amazing to see like planters just full of vegetables and produce, and because it's vertical, it does use less space, and so you can put it alongside buildings and so on and so forth. The other thing that we're working on that we have not quite been successful yet, we did something in our research, is that we're also trying to get a solar power. And so that would be amazing. The way that you do power these is by using a plug, and so, yeah, so that's it. The other technology, so that's one of the technologies that we are using and researching. The other is this one that you see here. Well, I'm sorry, I'm realizing it's not that bright. Okay, that didn't work. But it's actually a bucket. And actually I want to give you the pricing so that you get a sense of why this is so important to us today. So if you were to get 12 of those towers, community-based towers, so they're a little shorter, I think 8 or 9 feet high, it costs about 12 for $6,000. So it's about $500 per tower, to give you a sense, okay? You can imagine a family, a low-income family in LA, there's no way they could ever afford a $500 tower, right? Well, not no way, but it's difficult. What's nice though about our technology is that after you buy the tower, the price of the nutrients and of course the seeds and all of that is so low that you really reap it pays for itself. But it's still expensive. Now, this is made out of like a bucket bought from Home Depot. It is not aeroponic, it is hydroponic. And the water's at the bottom, and then you've got soil, and so that it grows, your vegetables grow in soil. It's not vertical in the sense you're not growing from the sides, so you're not saving space. This whole setup is $35. And what our researcher has learned recently that she's been testing out is that she actually thinks this model uses less water than the aeroponic towers. So we're trying to navigate that, and this is very new to us. But this is only $35 made, and so this makes it much more accessible to low-income families and low-income communities. And so if you're a church and you want to get 12 towers and you produce a lot more food because you're feeding a lot more people, those towers might make more sense. If you're interested in trying to keep it, as cost-effective as possible, and you're not interested in output per se in terms of food, right? Then this might be interesting. So yes.
What costs $35 in the bucket development, and how many plants are you putting in one bucket?
This is only one plant.
How does that work? Like, you said this
You know-
bucket turns into what? Like, is it just a bucket?
No, there's, this is I should have, this is like new to me, and I am not the farmer, so I'm embarrassed that I should have looked it up before I came to you all. I have we have our farmer, who is our lead person who talks about this technology, whereas I'm the administrator, so I tend to do the presentations and make sure that everyone's on task. So I'm embarrassed that I haven't learned actually how this particular one works. In terms of the technology itself, but it's hydroponic in that you have, if I can remember correctly, you put a base of water at the bottom, and then there's soil on top, and I'm not sure how April would talk about how it actually brings, how the water sort of participates in providing the plant with its nutrients, but anyhow, the cost is really that this was a DIY project, a do-it-yourself kind of thing. And so the reason I'm bringing this up to all of you is because you as a community may consider, if you're thinking about getting towers, that might work for you as a community, but if you're thinking about wanting to serve individual families, right, and getting them some plants in their patio, that might be cost-effective and might work for their situation, by which case they don't have soil, that they can work from, then this might be something good. This might be a good technology for them.
So you could put that on the balcony, for
Yes,
example.
absolutely. Yeah, this is just a Home Depot bucket. It's not just like, it's not a regular soil thing. There's a little bit of soil just for the beginning of the roots, but really it's the water that's keeping it growing.
So would you guess that maybe there's a motor attached to it or something that comes on and off?
Lumps and rocks.
That's a pump, but is it all those electrical connection?
I don't.
think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm really embarrassed that I didn't inquire further from this is like I just learned about this in the last 2 weeks, so again, it's
Is there information on your website?
I will put information.
I live in an apartment, and that's kind of why I wanted to come today, is what can I do with my house?
Okay, so this is really new news to us as an organization, and what we've actually started talking about is we're going to actually put together now some new trainings. And we want to try and get those trainings out for community groups and for families to come and learn. And what you need to do is, like I said, it's $35. You go and you buy your bucket, you buy a small pump that you need. And it's very cost effective, and then you just bring it to our training station, and then we help you build it right then and there, and then bring it home. So that's really neat. So that's a new side of our project. So like I said, we have a number of projects, and we're in this research stage. And the big reason why we're doing this research is because, like I said, $500 per tower is really expensive. So how can we, how can we make it more affordable to people who need it the most, right? The benefit of being a church is you have a collective source of, you have collective resources, right? Like collectively together, you can maybe raise enough money to get some towers. But when you're an individual family, or when you're an apartment building, you might not have that same kind of resource. So, the other thing that, just to give you some more ideas about other urban ag tech out there, is that this one is aquaponics. And the idea is it's similar to the hydroponics, but the difference is that instead of adding nutrients to be able to provide food for your plants, you have fish. And so the way it works is, so this one I can use your thought, okay? So how it works is that you have your water mixed with waste from a fish tank, then fills the flood tank, and then the tank empties this nutrient-rich water that the fish has produced into the grow bed, feeding the plants. And then the grow medium and the plants filter the water. Bacteria is cultured in the grow beds and fish tank to break ammonia to nitrates, and then nitrates, and then nitrites, and then nitrates, excuse me. And then it's aerated, the clean water returns to the fish tank, and then the fish tank, and its waste, which is beneficial for the plants, and returns back up and then feeds, and it's just this whole beautiful kind of cycle. It's like the cycle of life. It's like your own little mini exactly. Ecosystem. So I love this model. The challenge we have with this one is it's very hard to maintain because you got to keep those fish alive. And so what's great about the aeroponic tower garden is it's so easy to maintain, but this one certainly requires a lot more work. But you can see the benefits, pros and cons of kind of each of these opportunities, right? That the towers really can give you a lot of output, that they're easy to maintain, that they're expensive, right? In the tower gardens, you can primarily, unfortunately, because they, most plants don't grow vertically, right? Most plants grow from the, from horizontal, or from the floor. And so there are certain things that grow better like a wall or vertically than others, and so those are really the leafy greens, right? It's going to be difficult to grow carrots, for example, right, in a tower. But for example, in like aquaponics, because you do have a grow bed, because you've got some soil here, right? Then you are, you have more variety. But then, the question is always how much can you grow? And this is harder to maintain. And then you also have the bucket, which is the least expensive option. So the hydroponic least expensive option of that bucket means that you can't produce as much. So I kind of want to just give you a sense of the things that we're thinking about, the things that we are researching, the things that we're practicing, because I think it's really important to inform everybody, our church, to think about how we can, as Christians who are called to care for creation. And when I say care for creation, I don't mean care for the earth, I mean care for everybody, and that includes us. Because when we care for the earth, we care for us. When we care for ourselves, we care for the earth, right? So to really think about how these urban ag tech, so urban agricultural tech, new urban agricultural technology can be an opportunity for us to practice Christian witness by bringing these resources and providing for our communities, our neighborhoods, our families. The other thing we do in our nonprofit is that we do provide training. Like I said before, it's brand new news that we've got this amazing new opportunity to teach people how to create their own hydroponic garden using buckets that you can just get from Home Depot. And so we're gonna we will provide training in that. We also provide training in how to care for and maintain these tower gardens, and we provide consultation on what we think will work best. Our opinion is that not every church needs to get a type of garden, right? Like the idea that one quick fix fixes everything doesn't work, right? Like the thing is we all live in a diverse environment with our particular needs of our communities, and so what we try to do is help provide consultation and think about how you can best utilize your space and empower your community to care for and maintain a garden. And for what purpose? Right, the challenge that we had at Union Church is when we first started, we had this grand idea to get these 10 towers at the church, and we did. We got these 10 towers, and we started growing things on it, and we were so successful, in fact, that our produce grew too fast. We didn't know what to do with the produce. And you have no idea how difficult it is to say, oh my gosh, I have all this food, but I don't know what to do with it, and it's going to go bad in 2 days. And so, those of you who were there, we brought some of that produce to the Christmas tree, partly because we grew way too much and we did not know what to do with the excess of that produce. And so what we learned at Union was, well, one ought to plan a little bit more ahead to figure out, what to do with the produce, because if it grows faster than you expected, where should it go? If it grows slower than expected, how can you feed the community we're expecting to feed? And so on and so forth. And then, what is the purpose of growing all this food? Right? There's this problem we have in Christianity as Christians, where we think that I call, and a lot of theologians and scholars call the white savior complex. The idea that we know better for our community because we're a Christian, or we're someone with privilege, or we're educated. That we think we know what that homeless person down the street really needs. If that person just had a job, that person wouldn't be homeless anymore, and all his problems or her problems would be solved, right? The idea that, what Westwood really needs, if Westwood just had a food bank down the street, that would just resolve all of our problems, right? This is the way we think, and we do it because we care. We do it because we really believe in practicing social justice and caring for the poor and the needy, the orphan and the widow. But the reality is, by doing that, we are putting ourselves in the role of Jesus, right? We are deciding for others what it is they need, but we don't give them a voice. And, let's be honest, this is the week by which we just, had our elections, right? And there's a lot of people right now in our world and in our nation who feel marginalized, who feel voiceless, like they have not had a say and will not have a say or do not have a say in how our country is run, right? That's how people are feeling. Well, the same thing is happening in our cities. The same thing is happening in our neighborhoods, right? When we decide as a church what our neighborhood needs, then we're doing a pretty bad job of listening, of giving people voice when they are our brothers and sisters. They have wisdom to share with us. They might look different than us. They might not make as much money. They might not have the same education, but definitely, they have wisdom to share. There's an opportunity for partnership. So this is really important for us that when we think about what we want to do, when as a church, when we want to go and serve and use the trainings and the resources, that we really do a good job of listening and researching and partnering together with our communities before we decide what it is that we want for the church. Amen. So, I'm going to share with you some of the projects. And in light of what I shared, I'd like to move on to your own ministries here at the church. Let me just check the time. Okay. I'm going to go fast on this one. All right. So just to give you a sense of some collaborative projects. Like I said in the very beginning, what we do as a nonprofit is we're all about connecting. We're all about partnering. So we don't come and decide for every church, for every nonprofit, for every neighborhood. This is what you need. Just get a couple towers, start growing food, and it's going to fix it. No, that's not how we work. The way we work is that we build friendships and relationships. And so, because of those friendships and relationships, by just talking and sitting with one another, some projects have come. This is my favorite one that I love to share about. There is a group called Cobra Foods. It was started by the LA Food Policy Network and by the Leadership for Urban Renewal Network. Sorry, there's a lot of acronyms in LA. And these are two nonprofits that got together and started Cobra Foods. And Cobra Foods is a project, a program that gathers all local grocers in low-income neighborhoods, so like in Koreatown, South Central LA, to try and organize them to be able to encourage them to provide access or sell essentially healthy produce in their grocery markets. Now, you can imagine for a small grocer, it's really difficult. You don't really quite make as much money because you're a small grocery store when you sell produce, because your produce goes bad, and the way that you save money is by buying in bulk, right? This is why Costco is a really effective model. It's so big, they can buy in bulk, so they keep their prices low. If you're a tiny little grocery store that's only like a couple hundred square feet, right, you're not going to be able to sell as much. So it's really hard to make a living, and that's why when you go buy at those stores, everything's marked up. And so they really, generally speaking, don't want to sell produce. So Homebrew Foods is this project by which they are encouraging all of these grocers to organize together, and they make an order for what produce they want for that week. So let's say collectively, with these 20 grocers, they want 500 tomatoes. Well, now they can go collectively together, go buy 500 tomatoes from our wholesalers, and then sell these tomatoes at their grocery stores, and buy, because they're buying in bulk, they get a cheaper rate, and then they can make more money for these grocery stores. And now they're providing fresh produce for their neighborhood. So the people who are walking down the street to go to these markets, they now are getting access to produce that they normally don't. And I forgot to mention earlier, so these neighborhoods are primarily what we call food desert neighborhoods. It means in those particular neighborhoods, there's no access to a affordable large market. So folks generally are buying their food from their local corner stores. That's the fastest, way that they can get access to food. So we can see the importance of this Homebrew Food project. Now, Homebrew Foods, they came to us and they said, "So, Gitterman Farms, we still can't find the amount of food we need for the price that we want. Could you help us out?" I said, "Okay, well, we'll think about it." Because we're connected to churches, because our organization birthed out of the Presbyterian Church, out of our Pacific Presbytery that we are collectively in together, we have access to all of these other churches. And so Emmanuel Presbyterian happens to be located, that's one of our sister churches here, located in Koreatown, in one of these food desert neighborhoods. And Emmanuel recently received a grant to start a garden because they thought, this would be really good, and so on. So they did. They did that and they got excited about it. So I approached them and I said, "Hey, would you be willing to expand and use your land to create a farm? And this farm is going to be kind of a co-op for your grocers, your small grocers in your neighborhood, so they could grow and then grow their own food on your campus and then sell it at their stores." And Emmanuel's like, "Yes, we could totally do this." And so now you have this beautiful ecosystem, like I like to say, where you've got a church providing the space because they have it to grow food. You've got your markets that are now growing local, actually local, like down the street local. That's how local it is. Local organic produce, selling it at their stores. And then you've got your neighborhood eating healthier and having access to more affordable produce. And one would hope as a church that this is a form of witness. The people will be empowered and changed by learning about this relationship, by realizing that their food is being grown at their church. They might want to even go buy it to the farm and right around the church itself. I mean, it is a form of practice of Christian witness. And this idea came out organically because we were approached by folks who are already doing the work and saying, "Hey, if all these pieces fit together, we could do something powerful and amazing." So that's an example. I'm just going to stop there. I have a lot more projects I can tell you about, but I just wanted to stop there and share with you one way in which a church community can empower a whole neighborhood in this way. Yeah, do you have a question?
I used to go to Emmanuel, so I'm really familiar with the campus. Is it in a secure location, or what is to, I hate to sound negative, but
Yeah.
someone coming on and stripping the crop before you can get it to?
You know, we are complete, I'm sharing you an idea that we are working on, but it's not, it's an planning session, it's not happening now, so what we're doing is research. Again, this idea came to us, actually, it came to us at the very beginning of when we first started. But it's a process because Culper Food needs to organize their grocers and get them ready to be able to consider doing this, because it's a pretty large project. So we're thinking it's going to be a 3-year, 3 to 5-year kind of thing.
Well, then at the Japanese church,
Yes.
where is it located on their campus?
It is in that
Around the
courtyard.
street, or is it behind?
It is on the
church?
street and it is behind this giant fence.
Okay.
And so the hard part about Union Church, and that they probably would be willing to admit it themselves, is that it doesn't if you were to attend a church or like walk up to it, it doesn't seem inviting, right? Churches, we want to be inviting. But it doesn't look inviting because the reason they had to put up these gates is because people kept coming onto their campus and destroying their property and taking things. So the church, Pastor Tim has really been trying to change the culture of the church because they've been kind of afraid. Particularly, I'll mention that ethnic communities and ethnic religious communities. The reason churches have been successful in ethnic communities is because oftentimes it's a safe space for people to come and feel physically safe, emotionally safe, socially safe. And so them being an ethnic community, I think there's something about wanting to protect their people. And so now it's a shift. And they have Skid Row, literally down the street from them. So now I think the church is trying to shift this idea that we as Christians, although it continues to be a safe space, but how can we make it safe but also make it welcoming? So the challenge is with these towers, you may have to consider putting fences up if you're afraid of people to steal it, or you can create a different model. There is a garden church in Pasadena, and there's also a garden church down near Long Beach, where they grow their garden and they allow anybody to come and pick whatever they need. So just some various ways of thinking about how you want to practice ministry, which is Christians. I want to turn to give you all time.
So in that case, the towers would be behind the black fence?
The towers are currently behind.
Yeah.
So, again, Union Church is one of our projects, but Union Church is the one who runs it. So I don't determine how this ministry is going to go. Again, like that whole White Savior complex, it is not on me to decide how this community wants to serve their neighborhood. It's for the community to learn and figure that out on their own. But I come in as a consultant to help them take the steps forward, and I provide resources. For example, I just recently helped them write a grant to be able to develop their programs further. Yes?
Do you have any churches that are like working with like a Head Start program so that children could be involved in this and then take it home?
That is a great idea. We have not, none of our churches have done that. One of our churches, there is a church that has, that we are working with, or I need to call them, but they actually use part of their campus now for a school, and so they're thinking about creating a garden project both for the church and for the school. So you as a church having a preschool program, that is something interesting to think about. I have talked with an LA University administrator who's very interested in bringing our technology and our work into the LAUSD. And so that's something that we're also in conversation about. So these are all very new ideas. I'll share with you that in Santa Barbara, this is not our organization. This is through our partner organization, LA Urban Farms. But there's a Santa Barbara, I believe it's an elementary, maybe middle school. And they had like 30 or 40 of these towers. It was so successful in that the kids were the ones really caring and maintaining these towers. It's so successful. They grew so much produce. They started selling it. They had a relationship to Whole Foods because I think one of the parents worked for Whole Foods. They're now selling their produce at Whole Foods. And they're now bringing money back into the school. The kids are growing with food. So again, it's this beautiful partnership. So yeah.
I was thinking about too, other groups, Habitat for Humanity, because when there's a bill, this would be a nice addition.
Yes, absolutely.
The other is healthcare.
Uh-huh.
Hospitals have so much space, and there's a vested interest in people keeping them healthy.
Absolutely.
And you have all these large corporate health organizations in LA now, Kaiser, Providence. It would be interesting to see if their commitment to ministry outreach, how can they do that in the community?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Union Rescue Mission, Downtown Women's Center are two organizations we're working with right now to get a garden. Union Rescue Mission, we're actively making that happen right now. And down at the Women's Center, they just had a change in their CEO, and so we're waiting for that change to happen before we keep moving forward. But they also want to, we're talking about trying to raise money to be able to get gardens for both of those organizations. They're really excited about it because, as you can imagine, they feed thousands of people a day. And so this is an opportunity to provide fresh produce for them and for the residents who do live in those locations to be able to help maintain those gardens, and they provide benefits of not just, wellness in terms of their health, physical health, but wellness in terms of spirituality, wellness in terms of their emotional health. I'm sure, like, if you were like me, when you go out for a hike or walk, there's just something about changing your mind, changing your space, changing who you are. And it's been found that green spaces do provide, it does lower blood, they've had research that shows, lowers blood pressure, it reduces stress, all of these things. I'm sure that you believe it because, when you do encounter green space, which we don't have a lot of in LA, it does change the way you're outlook on life. I really would love, are there any more questions? But I'd love to move to this last piece in our okay. I would love to invite all of you for only 5 minutes to ask some questions. The main questions I want to always invite you to ask, and this is from the trainings that I do in other areas in community organizing work and community development work, is these are the 2 major questions you always want to ask when you're thinking about projects and ministries and when you're doing listening through things. What do you notice and what do you wonder about? Not what can I do, how can I resolve it, how can I change it, how can I fix it? What do you notice and what do you wonder about? And so these are some questions to ask, and I'm going to invite you to maybe break up into, let's just do groups of, can we do groups of 2 and 3? Is that okay? And I'm going to ask you to just focus on one of these questions. Choose one question you want to ask. What activities strengthen and bring health to your community? What are things that hinder community and individual growth in your neighborhood? What concerns do you hear when you're at the grocery store, the gym, the local park, parking lots of your school? What gifts do you have to share as an individual, as a collective community, as a church? What voices are not being heard in your community? When I say in your community, I mean even in this church. What voices are you not hearing in this church? And then you can say, what do you notice? What do you wonder about? What voices are you not hearing in the neighborhood? Something I love doing, it's always powerful. Look at your census data. When you look at your census data in your neighborhood that you live in, or where this church is located, what do you wonder about? What do you notice? Whenever I look at a census data about an area that I'm researching, whether for a new ministry or a new program or a church, I'm often surprised that there's like a huge segment of an immigrant community that I had no idea we had such a large number of, that particular group in my neighborhood, because I'm not interacting with, that particular group on a regular basis. Well, why? Why am I not doing that? And who are they? Maybe it's time to get to know them. So if you want to just break up, we'll just take 5 minutes here, and then I just have some last thoughts.